Achieving a goal requires sustained attention. Whether it's a big, ambitious goal you have, like changing your career or succeeding with your own business, or a much smaller, much simpler goal, such as staying in shape a bit better or changing your diet, or a totally internal or emotional goal, like breaking some kind of a toxic relationship pattern. What these things all have in common is that it's going to take some time to go through a transformation from where you are now to where you're going to go. And it requires sustained focus. You have to stay on target for the duration of that transformation. Sometimes our goals are difficult to achieve for complicated psychological reasons. Perhaps I'm self-sabotaging because part of me is fearfully attached to my current situation and I'm too afraid to change anything, even though when I think about it, yes, it would be nice to have more money or be happier or healthier or whatever. There can be psychological, emotional reasons that keep me stuck where I am. I'll link to my other videos where I explain in more detail how to detect these kinds of problems and how to fix them. But even if you know how to do that, it's not going to happen if you get constantly distracted. And sometimes getting distracted is actually the only reason why you're not reaching your goals. This is almost a little embarrassing to admit. We sometimes like to have bigger, more dramatic reasons for not having achieved our goals yet, but there are many things in your life that you could achieve already, where you already have all the knowledge necessary, you already know how to get there. It's just that you never keep your attention on that goal for long enough to make real progress. This is one of the challenges of modern life. We have this problem of abundance, where in any given moment you have such convenient access to so many wonderful distractions. And not only do you have access to loads of distractions, they're also like custom tailored to you, right? You know that right now you can just whip out your phone, open one of countless apps, and not only are these apps full of wonderful distractions, but also they will show you on the homepage right after you open the app something that's personalized to your very interests. That's a big part of what makes our phones and social media so addictive, and it's a crazy thing to live with. No humans before us have had to face a problem like this. What makes this worse is that any meaningful transformation in your life will always bring up some kind of resistance. Even going from really bad habits to good habits that feel better, or going from toxic, dysfunctional relationships to better relationships, even changes from things that are obviously bad to things that are obviously good, will still come with some amount of friction. Whatever the current life circumstances, whatever the current behaviors that you want to escape, in some ways they're there for a good reason. All of your worst habits that cause you all of your worst problems do serve some kind of a function. So whenever it comes to changing that, whenever it comes to actually outgrowing your current patterns, some resistance and fear will always come up. Resistance and fear doesn't feel good, and what do we do when something doesn't feel good? Oh, look at that, distraction, entertainment, stimulation right in your pocket. This is another aspect of sustained attention. You got to keep your eye on the target, especially when things get difficult, especially when part of you wants to run away. So how do we solve this problem? How can you make the changes necessary to be able to actually reach your goals and change your life in a positive direction? Well, from everything I've just said, a kind of an obvious solution is to do something like a dopamine detox. Get rid of your distractions, uninstall the social media apps from your phone, remove as many sources of stimulation out of your environment as possible, at least for a while. This is something I've done many times in many different forms, and it does work. I do recommend it. It can feel like a really radical approach, or actually I would say that it only works if you do it pretty radically. If I decide that TikTok is too distracting and I stop using it, but then I just start scrolling Instagram instead, obviously that's not going to do much. But also if I delete all of my social media apps and then I just play more video games, or I delete all of my video games and then I just end up binge eating a lot, there are many ways in which I can half-ass a dopamine detox and not really get much of a result. So in my experience, it works best when it's pretty extreme. And I'll link to a video where I did a 30-day Spartan mode detox, which is one of the more extreme ones I've done. But also, this had a really life-changing effect for me. So if you want to have a sense of what that might look like and what it did for me, check out the link in the description. But I've got good news, because there's a much milder and in some ways even more effective solution that I found. And I call this a themed journal. And in fact, it's so effective that even if you're doing a radical dopamine detox, I still recommend that you also do themed journaling. So what is a themed journal? Here's how it works. For the duration of at least 10 days and up to several months, you spend something between 15 and 30 minutes every evening writing in your themed journal, and you write about one single theme every single night. At least doing it at night is my preference. I like to do it before bed to also kind of prime my mind before I go to sleep. You could also do it in the morning when you wake up or any time of day. My preference is one writing session every day in the evening before bed. The important thing here is that you pick one theme and you stick with that theme day after day after day for the entire duration. This is how themed journaling helps you create that sustained focus, that sustained attention on one goal. And what you write about is that every day you write about what came up in regards to this one goal, to this one theme in my life where I want to see some growth and improvement. So what things did I do today to move myself towards this goal? What obstacles came up? What problems came up? What fears came up? What ideas do I have for how to improve tomorrow and next week? It can be all the things ranging from just venting your thoughts and feelings and having a place to express whatever emotions come up as you go through a growth journey, to making plans for the coming weeks, the coming quarter, to reviewing whatever it is that you've been doing, to gathering your thoughts about, let's say, books you've been reading on the topic, things you've been trying out. Maybe you've been trying out a new training method, a new meditation thing, a new communication tool, and you write about what did I do? What happened? The important thing is that you always come back to the same theme and you also hold yourself accountable. Because if you do a themed journal, you'll probably have some days where you write, oh wow, today I really lost sight of this. I meant to do a couple of things to advance myself towards this goal, but I just dropped the ball. I got distracted. But because you're writing about it every day, you always have that reminder and you're always priming your mind because you know that the writing session is coming. And if you lose track, if you fall off, you don't just, all of a sudden realize, oh, I totally forgot about my goal for the last 5 weeks. You notice at the end of the day, oh, today I dropped the ball, so tomorrow I'll recommit. The theme journal is not the only thing you do to try and reach a new goal. It is more like the support structure that helps you actually make use of whatever tools and books and sources and ideas you discover on the way to reaching your goal. A theme journal can be on any topic in your life, anything that you want to improve. So it can be a theme journal about money if you want to improve your relationship to money and make more of it. It can be a theme journal about relationships and your love life if that's something you want to improve. It can be a theme journal about maybe a people-pleasing tendency or constantly feeling defensive and changing how you show up, changing your confidence levels and your communication skills. It can be about a business you're building. It can be about your health and fitness. Whatever it is that you want to improve will be drastically improved by having a themed journal that keeps you on track. And that brings me to another important aspect of having a themed journal, which is you only ever have one theme at a time. I don't know about you, but one of my problems is definitely that I tend to be interested in too many things. I have too many goals and I keep bouncing from one thing to the other. That's one of the ways in which I have slowed myself down many times in my life. A themed journal is a great way for me to set a clear priority. It forces me to choose what is the one most important thing that for the next 10 days, the next month, the next 3 months, that is what I'm going to be focusing on. Sometimes I'll also essentially pick a goal. I'm going to do a themed journal on this thing until I reach some kind of a breakthrough, until I actually see the change happen and solidified in my life. I don't know whether that's going to be weeks or months or maybe longer, but it forces me to choose a priority and then stay on target. This is a relatively straightforward practice, but it has been so transformative for me. It sometimes takes my breath away how quickly things change once I start this practice. And of course, I hope it will do the same for you, which is why I made this video. Also, let me mention that you can learn more about how to run a themed journal in my introspective writing course. I will link to that below. This course teaches you my specific style of introspective writing to essentially do emotional and mental housekeeping, to change the quality of your mind, to change the quality of your life from the inside out. If you want to get even more out of a process like themed journaling and make sure that you really know what to write about and how to do the writing so that it's really constructive and really leads you in the right way, this is where you can get further guidance. So I'll link to that below. Either way, I highly recommend that you try out themed journaling. Just pick one area of your life, Do it for at least 10 days and let me know what happens.